There is a force within you, a primordial energy that pulsates at the root of your being, the very spark of creation. The ancient masters of the mystery schools, those who sought spiritual illumination beyond the veils of matter, understood its power and the necessity of mastering it. They knew the hidden mysteries locked within its conservation, secrets jealously guarded in forbidden texts, transmitted through generations of ancestral wisdom. But what is happening today? What has led us to trivialize this cosmic energy, to see it as a simple physiological discharge without spiritual consequences? The truth is much deeper and more disturbing. We are being led astray, subtly disconnected from our highest potential. And what society normalizes, what industry promotes ceaselessly, could be the key to why you feel stuck, aimless, empty. If you are willing to look beyond the surface, to challenge your own beliefs, and reclaim a truth that has been intentionally obscured, this is the journey you are waiting for. Prepare for a revelation that will change the way you see yourself and the universe. If this search for knowledge resonates with you, show your support with a like, share your initial thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Together, we will unravel the invisible threads that bind us and discover the true power that resides within you. But this modern, superficial view is neither universal nor ancient. Go back in time to the very roots of ancestral wisdom. From the mystery schools of ancient Egypt, with their profound understandings of divine and human energy, to the cryptic Hermetic teachings that spoke of as above, so below, all pointed towards a radically different understanding of sexual energy. It was not seen as a simple reproductive act or a momentary discharge, but as the most potent manifestation of the universal creative force in the human being. The adepts of alchemy in their outer and inner laboratories sought transmutation, not just of metals, but of the vital cosmic energy itself, the prima materia that allowed for spiritual elevation. In the traditions of yoga and tantra, in their most authentic and less commercialized forms, we find millennia-old systems dedicated entirely to the conservation, sublimation, and conscious direction of this same force to reach higher states of consciousness, to awaken the serpentine, the kundalini, which lies dormant at the base of the spine. These hidden mysteries, guarded in forbidden texts or transmitted orally only to worthy initiates, revealed how to channel this energy, not towards fleeting pleasure, but towards creation on all levels, physical, mental, and above all, spiritual. They considered wasting this energy to be wasting the opportunity to transcend, to reclaim the inner divinity. It was the master key to accessing spiritual illumination. So, if this cosmic energy is so fundamental to human growth and power, why does modern society actively work to ensure it is wasted, seen as something banal, or even shameful? What hidden interest exists in keeping us disconnected from this primordial source of personal and spiritual power? But the key, revealed in the forbidden texts in the schools of hidden mysteries, lies in the choice, transmutation or waste. This energy, the divine spark within us, is understood and consciously directed. It is not spent in the common sense. It is transmuted. It is the supreme art of inner alchemy, not of metals, but of the vital cosmic energy itself. The ancient masters taught that this transmutation elevates the raw vital force to higher levels. It becomes crystalline mental clarity, sharpened intuition that sees beyond the apparent, what they call spiritual light that illuminates the inner and outer path. It manifests as real creative power, not just physical, but the ability to shape reality with will, to have prophetic vision, to access higher planes of consciousness and communication with the divine. This is spiritual illumination, the philosophical gold of the soul. But when this energy, the most potent we possess for growth and universal connection, is dispersed without consciousness, without elevated purpose, simply for fleeting pleasure, or without control, a massive leak occurs. It is an energetic waste of the worst kind. It is not neutral. It has an immense spiritual cost. Each time this primordial energy is dissipated without being elevated, not only is the opportunity to transcend, to grow exponentially, lost, but an inner void is created, a hole through which personal power escapes. Esoteric traditions, from Tantra to Hermetic teachings, speak of this as a withering of a part of the soul, a disconnection from the internal source of vitality and wisdom. It is literally a draining of divine potential. A human being with their cosmic energy transmuted is powerful, radiant, autonomous, unwavering in their will and vision. They are a source of their own light, difficult, if not impossible, to control or manipulate externally. A human being with their energy dispersed, drained, is weakened, dimmed, dependent on external stimuli to feel alive, susceptible to mass manipulation, and easily diverted from their true path. Their inner fire has been smothered. Who, then, would be interested in having a population whose inner fire is systematically drained, extinguished, and kept in a perpetual state of external search for what can only be found within? This strategy of weakening is not limited to this energy alone. It extends to other fundamental pillars of our being, other sources of power that have also been hidden. Let single quotes S consider now the way this energy, our most potent vital force, is drained in the modern context. Far from any sacred or conscious practice, masturbation today has become for many a mechanical act, driven not by a genuine vital desire, but by anxiety, inner emptiness, disconnection from the soul. Fueled by an endless torrent of artificial, hyperbolic stimuli, stripped of any real or sacred connection, it becomes a quick way to release tension. Yes, but at a devastating spiritual cost. It is not the release of excess energy. It is a massive leak from the source itself. Think about it. Each act of this type, performed from a state of lack or under the influence of an artificially constructed reality, is a deeper disconnection. It doesn't connect you with yourself in an empowering sense. It connects you with a fabricated reality, and by dissipating your energy, leaves you more empty, more in need of the next external stimulus. It's a vicious cycle of draining and dependency. Ancient teachings did not forbid self-gratification out of Puritanism. They warned about the waste of a creative force that, if conserved and transmuted, can elevate you to unimaginable heights. In the modern context, this waste is facilitated, almost normalized, by platforms and content designed precisely to hook you into this cycle of energetic leakage. This constant draining not only weakens you individually, extinguishing that inner spark able to forge your own path, but it also makes you more malleable, easier to direct, to entertain, to distract from your true potential. A human being with their cosmic energy constantly drained is a human being with less power to discern, less strength to resist, less vision to build their own reality. They are just another cog in the machine of a society that prefers individuals dependent on external stimuli and constant distractions, rather than autonomous and internally powerful beings. It is a subtle but constant erosion of personal sovereignty. But this is not the only way our vital force is attacked and drained in the modern era. There are other sources of power within us that are also under siege, other doors that have been opened to diminish our ability to be full and autonomous. This external energetic leakage, facilitated and promoted, has a profound echo in our internal systems, in what ancestral traditions called the subtle body, the energy centers. At the heart of our vitality lies a primordial force, intimately linked creative energy to sexuality. Ancient texts, from Tantra to Hermetic teachings, pointed to the Svadhisthana, the second chakra, as the seat of this potent energy. It was not seen as something base or sinful, but as the raw material of life, the spark that drives creation on all levels. The key, the alchemy, lay in its transmutation. Imagine this energy not as something to be simply released outwards in the physical act, but as a surging river within you. Esoteric teachings describe how, through specific practices of conservation and mental focus, this energy can be directed upwards, ascending the energetic spine, nourishing the higher centers. As it ascends, it awakens the AGNA, third eye, intuition, inner vision, the connection to realms of expanded consciousness. It is the fuel for artistic creativity, intellectual insight, and spiritual realization. Great minds, mystics, sublime artists often channeled this energy in elevated ways. But what happens when that surging river is constantly diverted downwards, towards external discharge, without sublimation, without alchemy? The ancients warned about exhaustion. It is not just a physical loss. It is a leakage of spiritual and mental power. Maintaining this pattern of dissipation without return depletes the svadhisthana, but crucially, prevents energy from reaching the higher chakras. This manifests as spiritual stagnation, a sense of being stuck, a subtle but relentless erosion of the will, an internal force to act and create your destiny. It leads to emotional weakness, a susceptibility to being overwhelmed by feelings, instead of directing them, and a drastic decrease in intuition, that inner compass that guides you beyond mundane logic. You become more prone to anxiety, depression, apathy. This constant discharge, this refusal or inability to transmute, leaves you anchored to the most basic aspects of existence, hindering the ascent of consciousness. It keeps you distracted by the most primary needs and pleasures, leading you away from the potential of your higher mind and spirit. And this internal disconnection, this energetic fragmentation, makes you even more vulnerable to external manipulations and the cycle of dependency we have discussed. It is a form of subtle control, a weakness planted at the core of your being. But sexual energy is not the only vital force being attacked and misunderstood in the modern world. There is another crucial center of power within us, equally vital, which is also under siege. A door that many of us have left open ... In ancient Vedic traditions, there exists a sacred concept. Oh yes, it is described not just as a substance, but as the purest vital essence, the refined energy that nourishes the physical body, the mind, and the spirit. It is the peak of digestion and transmutation, the cream of the energy that ascends and is distributed throughout the entire being. And in these teachings, Oyas is intrinsically linked to the reproductive force, with semen considered one of its most tangible and potent manifestations. The Vedic vision is radically opposed to the modern notion of sexual energy as something to be simply released or discarded. Instead, it is seen as an immense source of power that, if conserved and directed upwards through practices like brahmacharya, sexual containment, can be transformed into this vital oyas. The central belief is that the constant expulsion of semen, the loss of this oyas essence, is not a simple biological function without energetic cost. It is a hemorrhage of this refined energy. Each discharge, each act of dissipation, drains not only the physical body, but crucially, the subtle energetic body. It weakens the aura, fragments the personal electromagnetic field, and most significantly, clouds perception. Why? Because oyas is also the energy of clarity and immunity to illusion. It is what allows consciousness to transcend coarse senses and identification with material form. When oyas is depleted, you become more firmly anchored to matter, to sensory distractions, to the superficial reality presented to you. The ability to perceive the subtle layers of existence, to see through the veil of Maya, the cosmic illusion that keeps you trapped in the cycle of identification and suffering, drastically diminishes. You become denser, less receptive to higher frequencies, more prone to being deceived by appearances. The energy that could be illuminating your higher mind and connecting you with universal truth is lost on the earth. On the denser plane, this constant loss of oyas, this draining of the vital essence, is not just a physical weakness. It is a blockage to spiritual perception, a chain that ties you to the wheel of material existence. And this energetic vulnerability, this decreased ability to discern truth beyond illusion, is not limited solely to sexual energy. There is another crucial door, another center of power within us, that is also being systematically attacked, another form of vital energy that, if not protected, leaves us exposed, manipulable, and blind to deeper truths. An energy that many of us have forgotten how to use, or even that it exists. An energy linked to something we take for granted. Our attention. Think about it. We live in an era of mass distraction, where attention is the most valuable currency, and we are trained from birth to give it away. The entertainment industry, with its constant flow of superficial stimuli, addictive series, immersive video games, and above all, the incessant avalanche of digital content. Is it really just leisure, or is it a form of global anesthesia? And if we delve a little deeper into this digital swamp, we find the phenomenon of pornography. It's not just an industry. It is a weapon of mass disconnection. It is designed with algorithmic precision and deep knowledge of the human psyche to hijack that same vital energy we talked about earlier, sexual force, and redirect it towards passive, solitary, and depersonalized consumption. It teaches you to seek external, instant gratification, empty of real connection, draining your energy, distorting your perception of relationships, and fundamentally preventing internal transmutation. Is a perverse social engineering, keeping the masses glued to screens, immersed in fabricated narratives and artificial stimuli, or trapped in cycles of compulsive self-consumption of pornographic content, creates docile individuals without the spark of vital energy circulating, and transmuted without the ability to focus attention internally. They lose their power. They become dependent on external validation, susceptible to propaganda, unable to exercise their sovereign will. Gnosis, inner knowledge, connection with the divine or the true self, requires focused attention and energy directed inwards. But if your attention is constantly fragmented, bombarded, hijacked by algorithms and external stimuli, how can you even hear the voice of your soul? How can you access that inner wisdom? They keep you on the surface, in the realm of material. Illusion, weak and malleable. This strategy of disconnection is not limited to what you look at or consume. It also extends to what we ingest, what we put into our physical bodies, which in turn affects our energy and consciousness. But what happens when you don't allow this vital current to be siphoned off, dissipated through passive consumption or compulsive release? What happens when you consciously choose to retain and recirculate this potent energy? This is the core principle behind practices found in ancient traditions, echoed in modern movements like NoFap, though its roots are far deeper than any internet forum. It's an alchemical process of transforming base energy into higher forms. When this vital force is preserved, its effects are immediate and profound. The mental fog begins to lift. The constant craving for external validation or fleeting pleasure subsides. Your attention, previously scattered like dandelion seeds in the wind, starts to consolidate. This brings an undeniable surge in mental clarity. You think sharper, focus deeper, and the constant noise of the external world loses its suffocating grip. With conserved energy comes a renewed sense of drive. That passive lethargy engineered by constant external stimulus is replaced by an inner fire, a powerful motivation to act, to create, to pursue goals beyond mere survival or shallow distraction. You feel a tangible increase in vitality, not just physically, but energetically. This internal shift inevitably impacts how you perceive yourself. Reclaiming control over this fundamental energy source is an act of self-mastery. It builds inner strength, fostering a quiet, unshakable self-esteem that doesn't rely on external approval. You stand taller, metaphorically and sometimes even physically. But the most significant transformation is the reconnection to something deeper. This conserved, transmuted energy acts as a bridge to your higher consciousness, your intuition, what some call the soul or true self. The static clears, allowing you to hear that inner voice guiding you towards your authentic purpose. It's a reclaiming of internal sovereignty, breaking free from the external chains. This vital force, no longer wasted, becomes fuel for spiritual insight, creativity, and unlocking dormant potentials. It allows you to operate from a place of inner power, rather than external dependency. However, this journey of internal alchemy isn't solely about managing energy flows within the energetic body. It's also intrinsically linked to the physical vessel itself, to what we introduce into the temple ... within this temple of the body. Ancient seers mapped out an inner architecture, a complex system mirroring the cosmos itself. Authentic Tantra teaches us that we are not isolated entities, but microcosms, containing within us the very same forces that govern the vast universe. And chief among these is the primordial creative impulse, the energy of creation that births stars and sustains existence. Within the human form, this cosmic energy manifests most potently as the vital force associated with our deepest creative and reproductive potential. Not merely physical generation, but the engine of all creativity, all manifestation. This sacred power, unlike the fleeting pleasures of its dissipation, is seen in authentic traditions as a divine current. Kundalini Yoga specifically identifies this dormant power, coiled at the base of the spine like a slumbering serpent, immense in its potential. The path to awakening this power isn't through its depletion, but through its conscious transmutation, its deliberate lifting upwards. This internal alchemy requires discipline, focus, and the redirection of that potent energy away from base instincts towards higher centers. Conserving the vital essence, as we've discussed, is the essential foundational step, providing the raw power. But the true art lies in guiding this energy, in coaxing the coiled serpent upwards through the central channel, piercing through energetic centers, leading to profound shifts in perception, consciousness, and ultimately, a direct experience of the universal. This awakened internal river has the potential to unlock abilities, insights, and states of being that defy conventional understanding. It connects the individual spark back to the cosmic fire. But what are the triggers, the catalysts, the specific keys that initiate this incredible internal journey? Is it purely an internal process of will and meditation, or could there be external vibrations, hidden sounds, or forgotten frequencies that sing to this coiled power, urging it to rise? But while searching for the keys to elevate consciousness, we must confront the forces designed to keep it bound, to drain the vital essence, to pollute the very channels we seek to open. One of the most insidious, pervasive currents in the modern world is the widespread consumption of pornography, coupled with frequent self-gratification. This is far more than a simple physical act. It's an energetic drain and a psychic poison. As we discussed, the conservation of vital energy is foundational. Its frequent, uncontrolled release, especially when amplified by the visual and neurological assault of pornography, becomes a catastrophic leak in the energetic body, a hemorrhage of potential. But its impact on the mind is perhaps even more devastating. The constant, hyper-stimulated dopamine surges hijack the brain's natural reward pathways, creating a potent addiction. This isn't just habit. It's a neurological restructuring that leaves individuals craving ever more extreme stimuli, while simultaneously dulling their sensitivity to the nuanced pleasures and challenges of the real world. Presence erodes. Connection with others becomes difficult, often replaced by a flattened, objectified perspective. The mind, instead of becoming a clear lens for higher perception, becomes a cluttered, agitated space, constantly pulled back to the digital feed, the next hit of artificial intensity. This state of perpetual mental noise and energetic depletion actively hinders any attempt at internal alchemy, at lifting the coiled power. It doesn't just weaken, it actively corrupts the inner landscape, making it barren ground for genuine spiritual growth or the awakening of latent abilities. It's a state of being that makes one easily distracted, easily controlled, disconnected from their own core and the world around them. But is this just a byproduct of technology and human nature, or is there something deeper at play? Could this widespread phenomenon be a deliberate design, a directed frequency meant to sever humanity from its energetic potential, to keep consciousness trapped in a low, chaotic state, serving some unseen agenda? What exactly benefits from this global energetic and mental degradation? But what exactly is this energetic core being targeted? Ancient traditions across the globe whisper of a vital life force, an essential essence. In Taoist alchemy, this concept is central, known as Jing. They speak of Jing as the root of life, the primal generative force residing within us, deeply connected to our physical vitality and, crucially, our sexual essence. The teachings are stark and direct, conserving. This Jing is paramount. It's seen as the fuel for longevity, the very substance that strengthens the body, anchors and elevates the spirit, and clears the path for the mind to awaken, to perceive beyond the mundane veil. Masters spoke of refining this essence, transmuting it into higher forms of energy, Qi and then Shen, spiritual consciousness. But the converse is equally potent. Wasting this vital Jing is a direct path to decay. It's believed to accelerate aging dramatically, weakening not just the physical frame, but also the emotional resilience, leaving one prone to fear, anxiety, and instability. Perhaps most critically for our discussion, the squandering of Jing is said to cloud the mind, severing the connection to intuition, higher states of consciousness, and spiritual clarity. It leaves the individual dull, listless, and easily manipulated. Now, consider the modern landscape we just described, the constant bombardment, the manufactured desire, the readily available avenues for immediate gratification that often involve the direct or indirect depletion of this fundamental life force. Is it merely a coincidence that a society steeped in practices that ancient traditions warn against as destructive to Jing is also a society struggling with epidemic levels of fatigue, anxiety, mental fog, and a profound disconnection from anything resembling higher consciousness or spiritual insight? Could the widespread erosion of presence, the difficulty in focusing, the emotional fragility, and the accelerated physical decline we witness be a direct result of a collective Jing depletion? And if so, is this depletion happening organically, or is it being amplified, even engineered, as a means of keeping humanity energetically impoverished and therefore easier to control, easier to divert from tapping into the immense power that careful conservation and cultivation of this essence promises? What deeper historical patterns echo this struggle for control over the very source of human vitality and awakening? This idea of conserving a fundamental life force, an inner essence, wasn't confined to esoteric Eastern texts. Trace the thread through history, and you find whispers of it echoing in the practices of diverse traditions and extraordinary individuals. Look to the ancient yogis and ascetics of the Himalayas, whose rigorous disciplines, specific breathing techniques, meditative states, sometimes even practices involving celibacy, were explicitly aimed at conserving internal energy, not for austerity's sake, but as fuel for spiritual awakening, enhanced perception, and seemingly impossible physical and mental feats. They understood that vital energy dissipated through uncontrolled senses and lower impulses, And that gathering it inward was the key to unlocking latent potential. Move westward to the philosophers and mystics of ancient Greece. Pythagoras and his disciplined community lived a life of rigorous self-control, specific diets, and intellectual pursuits, all seen as pathways to purify the mind and body for higher knowledge and attunement to the cosmos. Later, Plotinus and the Neoplatonists spoke of returning the soul to the One through detachment from the material world and intense inner focus, a process demanding the disciplined conservation and redirection of psychic energy away from worldly distractions and towards spiritual ascent. The enigmatic Essenes of ancient Judea, known for their communal asceticism and spiritual practices, are also speculated to have understood the power of conserving personal energy for spiritual purity and prophetic insight. Even among figures celebrated for their genius in more recent history, we find lifestyles that, intentionally or not, aligned with principles of vital energy conservation. Consider Leonardo da Vinci, a man of intense focus and seemingly inexhaustible creative output, whose personal life remains largely private. Isaac Newton, whose legendary dedication to his work left little room for conventional social or emotional expenditures, directing all his formidable energy towards unraveling the laws of the universe. And perhaps most explicitly, Nikola Tesla, who spoke openly about his decision to forego relationships and other common pursuits, stating directly that he believed conserving his life force was essential to his inventive power and intellectual clarity. These weren't just eccentricities. They were potentially practical applications of a profound ancient understanding that vital essence, carefully conserved and directed, becomes a wellspring of extraordinary intellectual, creative, and spiritual power. If this principle was known and applied by these titans across millennia and cultures, what hidden potential lies dormant within each of us, waiting to be reclaimed? And why does the modern world seem so intent on encouraging us to squander the very essence that holds the key to our deepest power and awareness? Ultimately, the thread connecting these disparate giants across time, from ancient mystics to modern inventors, is the conscious or intuitive understanding that vital essence is not merely biological fuel, but the very fount of higher consciousness and extraordinary power, a resource to be guarded fiercely. The question remains, in a world seemingly designed to encourage constant external expenditure and distraction, how do you choose to conserve and direct your inner spark? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this exploration resonated with you, please share this video and subscribe for deeper dives into hidden knowledge and forgotten wisdom. And for more insights into reclaiming your dormant potential, click on the video appearing on your screen now.